words. The disrespect.
And that's the beginning of the video. It's Guapo Googling stuff. What's going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz, Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check. And you don't see my pretty sexy face, which you haven't been seeing recently anyway. But this time I am, in fact, not alone. It's WWE, so of course we bring in the AEW guy. And spoiler, even the next time you hear from him, we might not be talking about AEW. Guapo, what's going on, buddy?
Hola, mis amigos, Senor Guapo's back again. That's right, I'm back in the Spaz Phoenix channel. It's been a while, Spaz. Haven't talked to you since last year, and probably a couple months now, actually.
Yeah, we've missed several attempts at doing actual AEW stuff, and then you made me nearly shit myself when you're like, hey, why don't we do Rumble? And I'm like, what?
You know.
So this is going to be fun because we're going to preview the Rumble with you not watching WWE.
Yeah.
We will be, at some point, doing a separate video just to get a brief sort of like, hey, how do we both feel about how AEW's doing, seeing as you are the AEW guy, quote-unquote, on this
well,
channel.
AEW at the moment is very nice, very evil. That is all.
Midhausen. Anyways, but yeah, and then, spoiler alert, somewhere down the way, you and I are actually going to be talking a bit of Impact.
Yes, we will.
Because you're a dickhead and you're going to a show because you live in America. Anyways.
I live in America and they're going to be an hour away from me, so I got front row seats. God damn it.
And up here, all we got is truck caravans, but I'm not getting into it right now. It's fine. So you've given up on WWE a long time ago, understandably so. But I mean,
well over a year now. So yeah.
At the same time, we said this before we came on the air. The one thing, even if you stand on your high horse, and I don't mean you, I mean anybody, and say, I'm done with WWE. WWE is done. Look what they've done. It's not what it used to be. NXT is a unicorn diarrhea. What's the one thing that brings everybody back?
Elimination Chamber.
Oh, the Saudi Extermination Chamber?
Yes, the Saudi, the Blood Money Chamber.
Oh my God.
Chamber of Blood. Royal Rumble.
There we go. I said this too, as we were getting ready to do this, as we've been talking the past couple of days. We're going to spend about 20 minutes talking about the rest of the card, and there's a shitload to talk about with the Ladies Rumble, so I'm leaving that till last, obviously, especially considering there's something swinging in the breeze. There's something swinging in the breeze. Is it a door? Is there a door swinging in the breeze? Let's leave that for later. We got 4 matches and 2 Rumbles, which makes for a pretty decent card. And fuck off. It's funny. Shut up.
Yeah. I'm there with you, bud.
You were thinking about other things, you sick freak. As you... God damn it.
What are we, like 5 minutes in and we're already off the rails?
And there's not even any Matt Hardy on this show.
Oh my God. Delete!
No, stop. AEW achieved the massive achievement of making me not give a shit about Matt Hardy. We don't need to talk about that right now.
Hold on. Side tangent, just real quick. Until Jeff Hardy shows up.
Jeff Hardy will show up. They will have tag team matches where I will care about Jeff Hardy, just like in WWE.
And Matt. Because they will delete their competition.
Well, I mean, after yesterday, we need somebody to come back in and show them how to do a proper ladder match, but we don't need to talk about that right now either. So.
That was so good.
Oh, okay, the cutter spot was pretty good. But now you've got the obnoxious people out there talking about how Sammy was here and now Cody's made him. I'm like, no. Sammy was already up here. You already had him as a pillar. You already had him as a... We're not doing this. We're not doing this.
I know we're not doing this. Just all I want to say is Sammy is already at the level of Cody and going further. So that's it. WWE.
Yeah. Okay. So 4 matches, really nice, and they're probably going to be sandwiched between Rumbles on either end. As I said, in my personal opinion, there's a lot more interesting stuff to talk about in the Ladies Rumble, and that's not... Okay, I'm the last one to come up on here on this platform and be a feminist. You guys know that by now, but legitimately, there are more interesting possibilities because they've put more interesting possibilities into that Rumble than the guys' Rumble. I mean, Johnny Knoxville is Johnny Knoxville, but it's fine. So we're going to sort of blitz through the 4 matches because I think they're all pretty much foregone conclusions. But they're still worth talking about because I think they're going to be good for what they are. There is no SmackDown Women's Championship match on this card, and we will talk about why later. The Raw Women's Championship match is Becky Lynch, who's back and awesome and saved that title from Bianca Belair, don't at me. And she's taking on Doudrop, the former, I hate the name, but the former Piper Niven, the former Viper, who actually is a badass, and I am looking forward to the match.
Badass.
She's an absolute badass. I hate the name. She came in, I don't know if you know this, so stop me if you do. This is going to be the whole theme of the night where I'm going to sort of say, hey, are you aware of this? And then you're going to tell me yes or no. Are you aware of the Doudrop?
Very much so. Yes, I'm aware of Doudrop.
Okay, you're aware she basically came in as like Eva Marie's sidekick, and then Eva Marie left the company.
I am very well aware that they took a extremely talented Piper Niven,
Yep.
and gave her Eva Marie to fucking bounce off of.
I mean, I wouldn't mind bouncing off Piper Niven. I'm just saying, like over and over and over. It's fine. Unfortunately,
remind me to tell you something later, Spaz.
Oh no.
No.
Did you do something bad?
No, I did not.
Okay. I was going to say, me and Mrs. Guapo are going to kick your ass. It is unfortunate because I wish if she was positioned better on the card, on the show rather, on the show Monday Night Raw, I would love to look at this. As much as a fan as I am of Lynch is like top tier. This sort of Conor McGregor-esque heel thing she's got going on that everybody else hates, which means she's doing her job, is fantastic. But I would love for it not to be a foregone conclusion that she's going to win. I would love for it... we talk about on the men's side a lot, sort of nobody's really tuning in for the title match, so you can sort of have whatever title match you want, and then the real story is the Rumble. I don't want that mentality to sweep into the women's matches. I do want every match to feel like there could be a different outcome, as simplistic as that sounds. Unfortunately, where she is on the card right now is kind of weird for that. She very much in ring she's great. As a character, she comes off like a mid-carder, and they're both heels, so it wouldn't even be sort of like a triumphant, like, underdog story. Like, she's not Daniel Bryan, whatever you want to call him. So very much looking forward to the match, even though it's predictable as hell.
Right.
I would love her to go back to NXT UK, but I don't think that's going to exist very much longer. I will say,
I think with this match, she takes her name back.
They've dropped hints about it, but she's also done interviews where she said she hated the Doudrop name while she was with Eva Marie, and it wasn't until Eva Marie left that the new name actually meant something to her. Now, I don't know what that something is. Shrug emoji. But if it is at the end of the day, it's like the Nikki Cross superhero gimmick. Like, it's not for me, but I'm happy to have somebody be able to take a character in the way that they want to take it. And if that's what's happening, then cool. Because not a lot of people get to do that. Moving on to one that I'm going to forgive just because it's going to be a lot of fun. It's Edge and Beth Phoenix, the Hall of Fame tag team of Edge and Beth Phoenix, taking on Miz and Maurice.
Yes.
This is the rivalry that MJF and CM Punk are trying to replicate over on AEW, so it's kind of cute.
Sir?
Less famous Miz was one of the best Punk lines ever.
Absolutely agree with that one.
All those, okay, I'm not going to make it a WWE versus AEW thing, but they are very, or at least they're trying to be very similar stories before the ladies got involved. I'm hyped to see Beth Phoenix back in the ring, which is kind of cool. The trade-off for that is she's no longer on commentary on NXT, which kind of sucks because I actually like her on commentary.
But are you watching NXT?
What?
Are you watching NXT?
I am still watching NXT. I still watch NXT every week. I just don't think there's much worth reviewing.
Gotcha.
Like, there's individual people that I like. It's gone from, you remember the old NXT, the black and gold, like the real NXT?
Yes.
where it was awesome, and there was a couple people that sort of made me turn off, like, okay, I don't like that particular guy, I don't like that particular guy. Now it's kind of the opposite. Now it's kind of a bleh show, but there are people on there that I really like. We talked about it before we came on the air, but Carmelo Hayes. I like to see that Mandy Rose is getting the chance to sort of grab the bull by the horns that she didn't get to do on the main roster. There's MSK in the tag team division. There's a couple of other tag teams in the tag team division. Jacket Time is fun. Jacket Time is good times. But yeah, no, part of that was it was Vic Joseph, Wade Barrett, and Beth Phoenix was the commentary team there, and she stepped away from that, and soon after that she was added into the Edge and Miz story. What I will say, and I think you and me and Kristen previewed WrestleMania a couple years ago when it was Miz and Maurice versus John Cena and Nikki Bella. Now we don't need to talk about where that went, but what I said at the time.
That was WrestleMania in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Was it? No.
What I said at the time.
No, it wasn't. That was the year before. Never mind. Go ahead.
Anyway, what I said at the time with that was, it's not going to be wonderful, fantastic. It's not going to be 5 stars in the Tokyo Dome, brother. It might not even be good, but it is the match where you can see like Cena and his wife Cena and his girlfriend and Miz and his wife, and you could tell all 4 of them were having a good time with it. Like it's not too serious. Like in this case, Edge is giving Miz a bloodbath and all the kind of like he's brought out the old Brood entrance, which I mark out for, obviously. The whole time they've been doing this, some of it has been cheesy as fuck, the build, and I'm sure some of the match will be cheesy as fuck as well. But it is the one that gets the pass from me that there's 4 people in there that I can tell in their performance are having a good time, and I love that. And it's a mixed tag match, so there's not really any consequences to it anyway. So there's no way that they can do this that, oh my god, it's a disaster. It might come off a bit lame, or they might surprise us with something awesome. But if the worst thing that can happen is something goes a bit lame, especially with characters like Edge, who's only there sometimes, Beth, who's only there sometimes, Maurice, who hardly ever wrestles, and Miz, who's meant to be a dork anyway, like, you can't really go wrong. Like, it's going to be a good time. I've been saying for a while, I will continue to say, I think Miz is one of the most underappreciated people on the WWE roster, just because he throws himself into all the feuds in such a way that there are certain types of feuds where one person has to look like an obnoxious idiot asshole the whole time, and he knows at the end he's going to get punched in the face. And that's the shit that Miz does, and he's really good at that. And you need a couple people that are really good at that to sort of flush out the roster. Nobody's going to say that Miz is a 5-tool like technical grappler, but that's not what this match requires. If that makes sense.
Oh, it absolutely. Excuse me. Sorry. It absolutely makes sense. I mean, we're going to get great spots between Edge and Miz. Hell, we're going to get great spots between Maurice and Beth Phoenix. So there's no need for this to be a 5-star masterpiece. It serves its purpose. It serves its purpose for what it's supposed to do.
I am going to make one prediction in this. I do think at one point that Beth Phoenix is going to hit the Glam Slam on the Miz.
Yes, I can agree with that.
I don't know who to say wins this.
Edge and Beth.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, there's nothing pulling me either way because, like I say, there's no consequence. There's no next step. So it makes who wins it almost, as much as I'm looking forward to it, it makes the winner and the loser technically sort of irrelevant.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Miz and Maurice just to be controversial.
Go for it.
I mean, Edge is, with all due respect to Edge, I'm a huge Edge head, as everybody knows. Miz is the one that's there more often, so if you want to go with CM Punk logic, like, hey, why did I lose to this guy and then he left? There is a little bit of logic to Miz coming back the next night on Raw or leading into WrestleMania saying, look, I just beat 2 Hall of Famers in one night. He can do the Jericho thing. Like, I beat Austin and The Rock in the same night. Well, Beth and Edge are both Hall of Famers, and I beat them in the same night, and then he takes that on obnoxiously to whatever he's doing at WrestleMania. Miz versus Bad Bunny for round 3.
God.
We'll get there. We'll get there. It's fine. So, we have the 2 title matches, and I asked you this again before we came on the air. You didn't watch WWE Day 1.
No, I did not.
I'm going to guess you were hungover.
No, work.
Oh, that's severely more unfortunate.
Yeah.
So anyways, I'll sort of lay out to you what happened because it'll show you kind of how we got to where we are now. On the Raw side of things, Big E was the champion. He was set to defend against Rollins, Owens, and Lashley. And on the SmackDown side of things, you had Lesnar versus Roman, which was supposed to happen, right? The Raw side was a little bit more interesting to me. I don't think I did a prediction for Day 1, so I'll give my theory on that now. Originally, it was set to be Big E versus Seth Rollins, which is really cool because it's a callback to them fighting for the NXT title way, way back in the early days of NXT, right?
Yes.
Then they threw Owens into the mix. And I'm like, okay, it's still kind of cool. It's still kind of an all NXT triple threat match, which is fine, right? And then they threw Lashley into the mix, and I'm like, okay, well, Lashley's going to win. And then before the show, Roman got pulled under suspicion of COVID, or he was staying home to be safe, or something along those lines, which obviously totally fine, health first, especially with Roman.
Yeah.
But it meant that they just stuck Lesnar in the 4-way and made it a 5-way, and he walked out with the Raw title.
Yes.
And then the next night on Raw, the 4 people that were supposed to have the 4-way had a 4-way for the number 1 contendership. So now we have Lashley versus Lesnar on the one hand, right? On the other hand, Roman Reigns just sort of stomped around SmackDown and said, I don't have any opponents. And Adam Pearce said, I'll find you one by the end of the night. And then at the end of the night, somebody knocked on the door of Roman Reigns' locker room to the tune of the old Shield music. And Seth Rollins walked in, and they cut to black. And that's how we found out Seth Rollins was getting a title shot. Now, the thing is, you got two big guys in 2 separate matches here that are having a rivalry with each other. Because Roman and Lesnar, even though they're both champions right now, are feuding with each other while they both get ready to defend their titles against other people. So you've got this cool, like, sort of cross-section story going on. I do want to start with Lashley Lesnar first, because storylines aside, I don't care whether you like Lashley, I don't care whether you like Lesnar. Lashley versus Lesnar is something that's been talked about for a long time.
It's been something everybody's wanted for quite a while.
And I will say, other than 1 or 2 spots, they sort of stayed away from each other in the 5-way at Day 1, which was smart. I think one put the other one through a guardrail at one point, but that's not really an indicator of a match, really. So that is one of those things that you can sort of set it on its own, put the story aside, look at these 2 fucking guys. I will say, they did, even for WWE, because we always say, even when the stories suck, WWE does great video packages. They did particularly good video work on these 2, looking at both of their amateur careers, looking at both of their MMA careers, looking at both of their young WWE careers, and then they both went elsewhere and they both came back. Of course, they didn't mention Impact or TNA for Lashley, but we don't need to go there. No, but it was really, like, genuinely done well, and it's kind of cool because you got these 2 prize fighters with these 2 awesome mouthpieces as well, with MVP and Paul Heyman. And they've resisted the urge to have the 2 mouthpieces go at each other too much. So I think we might see some of that on the night. Lesnar's also doing this goofy babyface persona where he's still a cocky dickhead, but he's a babyface cocky dickhead. So he comes out in, like, jeans and cowboy boots and whatever, and he didn't wear the proper stuff to the weigh-in, and Corey Graves told him he should be in proper ring attire, and he just looks at Corey Graves and says, "Are you saying you want me to get naked?" So the only thing he took off was his hat, and the weigh-in was a bit of a joke. But there's been a little bit of
weigh-ins are.
Well, I mean, yeah, just look at AEW. Anyways, but yeah, like, the whole thing has been Lesnar doesn't fear Lashley at all. He sort of made him out to be sort of like the Lesnar wannabe. Like, yeah, I disappeared, I went to UFC and came back, you went around and dicked around in Bellator and came back. Like, It's that kind of, like, he didn't say all of that full out, but that's the energy. I kind of like it because it is the whole, and I know some people say this is toxic, but it's the whole, like, alpha male energy. Like, it's the two bulls hitting each other. It's going to be fun. Now, before we talk about who's going to win that, on the other side of the coin, you got Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, which I don't care that there's no reason. I really don't. Reigns and Rollins
It sells itself.
Well, it sells itself, but it's also easy. It's easy for the fans. It's easy for the company. There's built-in story. Like, you don't need to make one. I go to the examples like, if you need to fill time, back in the day, you throw on the Hardys and Edge and Christian. Or you throw, in more recent days, you threw out Aleister Black and Buddy Murphy. Or you threw out Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn back in the early days, right? It's just a pairing. We know how good they are. Their characters are turned up to 11. The Roman Reigns head of the table stuff is still great. Seth Rollins, the drip god, is fucking fantastically obnoxious. They did do
that only Seth Rollins can pull off.
Yeah, pretty much. They do have the other little wrinkle going on right now that Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens have a side story going on where Owens is helping Rollins out so that he can become champion. Rollins is going to help Owens out so that he can win the Rumble, and they can have their dream match at WrestleMania because they had the match in the empty arena WrestleMania where Kevin Owens jumped off the WrestleMania logo for no goddamn reason.
Because he just felt like it.
But Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens showed up on SmackDown last week. For those of you that are listening to this right now, you guys will know that I'm filming this before the Go Home show. So what's happening this Friday, I don't know. Who's been added, who's been subtracted, whatever. Yes, that's what we're talking about, the Universal title. Rollins brought Owens with him to face the Usos on SmackDown in a match that basically banned the Usos from the title match at the Royal Rumble. So the Usos cannot get involved in the Roman Rollins match.
So that means they will.
Well, no, they won't. My prediction is, because they're not in the Rumble either, as far as we know, the Usos. I do believe that because Roman has one eye on Rollins and one eye on Lesnar, I think Roman's going to send the Usos to fuck with Lesnar in the Lashley match.
Okay.
So I think both of these guys, I don't think they're both going to lose their titles. I really don't. But I also think that both of these guys could lose their titles, and you could still do Roman Lesnar at Mania without a title involved, and it still sells itself. Like, you free up Rollins to have a match with somebody at Mania, you free up Lashley to have a match with somebody at Mania, and these guys can have another match. Then you've filled out 3 matches of your WrestleMania card right there. And all of them will be headliners. Because it's going over 2 nights as well. The Saturday of WrestleMania weekend, I should say, is going to be really long. Because they are doing an NXT show as well, but they're doing it midday on the Saturday. And then the first night of WrestleMania is that night.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. I don't mind it entirely. It's new. They're trying to fit stuff in. They're doing as I understand it, and somebody will obviously correct me down in the box below if I'm wrong. They're doing SmackDown. The Hall of Fame goes live right after SmackDown from wherever the SmackDown thing is. Saturday midday, I think they're saying like 2 or 3 in the afternoon, is going to be the NXT show. Then you have night 1 of WrestleMania. Then you have night 2 of WrestleMania the second night. That's a jam-packed 3 days. That's 5 shows in 3 days.
Yeah, it's a lot going on.
It's a lot. But yeah, I don't know, because I think WWE have finally gotten a Roman that people cheer for, so I think you're going to have to, like, twist their arm to have him lose the belt. The Usos are banned from ringside, but Kevin Owens is Seth Rollins' buddy, and they have a plan, and Owens is not technically banned from ringside, which is another interesting wrinkle. You've also got Paul Heyman, who was with Roman for a while and then turned his back and went back with Lesnar, so he could pull some fuckery because they still have a feud. It's one prediction for 2 matches, but I'm going to go the long bet, and I'm going to say that both guys lose their titles. I'm going to go with the ultimate.
Ooh.
I'm going to go. I don't know how exactly, because you can get the Usos doing it one way, and you can get it Paul Heyman doing it the other way. I think both respective champions screw the other champion out of their title, because I really do think they want that Roman versus Lashley one more time at Mania. It's not my favorite thing, if I'm honest, but
I'm gonna pick champions retain.
Both of them.
Both.
That would be fun. See, here's the thing: if both
just because there's still time between now and Mania to drop the titles,
See,
a la Saudi Arabian Blood Money.
That's true. What I would say though, the only way I want, and I'm not saying it just to be counter, like this is something I've been mulling over for a little bit. The only way I want both champions to retain, because you've got 2-night WrestleMania now, and you can kind of play around with stuff a little bit. How cool would it be? Lashley and Lesnar and Roman both keep their titles. They unify the titles on night 1, and then defend that unified title against the winner of the Rumble on night 2.
I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with that. Unfortunately, silly things like TV deals and who's exclusive to what get in the way of that. But it's an idea, and it's an excuse to get a belt that's not just a big W. But it is what it is. What it is. That brings us to the men's Rumble, which I mean, it's going to be good. It's the pizza reference. Even a bad one is still good because it's the Rumble. I hate using the pizza reference too because I don't eat pizza. So
love pizza.
Of course you do. You also like AEW. So do I.
Hey,
it's
sir, it's amazing.
So
you
do I.
know
It's
that.
fine. Yeah.
So out of the
it's better than the ghost of NXT. I'll give you that.
Out of the 22 people that's been announced for the men's Rumble, who's gonna win? That's not Johnny Knoxville.
Okay, so I want to actually do the long form and go through the names, and
Okay.
I just want you to. I'm gonna say a name, and you tell me yes or no if you know what's going on with them at the current moment. All right? Omos.
Okay. I have no idea what's going on with him and Kermit. Besides, didn't him and AJ split from being partners?
They split from being partners. They had one really, really shitty match that they did on Raw instead of at the pay-per-view because WWE knew it wasn't going to be any good. But also, AJ Styles took a brief break and went down to NXT and had some cool match with Grayson Waller. So that was kind of fun.
Gotcha.
Randy Orton is Randy Orton. Riddle is Riddle. They were, up until a couple weeks ago, the tag team champions. The current Raw tag team champions, Gable and Otis. Otis looks like a toe now. It's fine.
Yeah.
Ziggler and Rude are still a tag team when WWE remembers that they exist. Kevin Owens is a thing. Big E is your most recent ex-WWE champion. AJ Styles, enough said. Damian Priest. Do you know the Damian Priest thing now? The whole dual personality thing?
No.
Okay, so he comes out now. They fucked up his music. He had really cool music, and now he has like super generic.
Yeah, he had
music.
great music in NXT.
Yeah, well, he brought it into the main roster for a while too, but then they switched it up because like Damian is evil and the Priest is good, so he's a good wrestler for most of the match until you make him mad. He's like goth Ken Shamrock. It's what they're trying to do with him now.
God.
He's the sad thing is here's the thing. It's crap, but for what it is, he's sort of pulling it off. I don't like it. I wish he was doing something better, but he's sort of making it work. Now, I'm going to hate this. It's going to make me throw up in my mouth a little, but it's kind of a Cody Rhodes thing. They threw the dashing thing at him. They made it work. They threw the deranged thing at him. They made it work. They threw the mustachio, whatever. He made Stardust work. And, like, whatever shit they gave him, he made it work. As much as I don't like the guy, I've given him credit for that. Mm-hmm. It's sort of that type of situation. And he's been the United States champion for a while, so that's something. The only loss he's had in the past little while is against Kevin Owens, and it was by DQ. So, by the numbers, they're booking him well, by the metric of gold.
By the actual booking.
By the actual booking is weird. Well, they've given him a bad gimmick, but they've booked the gimmick well considering what it is. He hasn't lost very often, and the only time he did lose, it was a DQ, and it was to Kevin Owens, who's not a bad person to lose to.
Right.
Sami Zayn is in it. He's still doing the conspiracy theory thing. He's got a mini feud going on with Johnny Knoxville, which we'll talk about in a second. Okay. Kofi Kingston is in. Xavier Woods is not. He's dealing with some kind of leg injury at the moment, and also he's doing G4 stuff.
Yes.
Do you know about Happy Corbin and Madcap Moss?
I know that Happy Corbin is stupid.
Is it what?
Is stupid.
So Corbin was broke.
It hasn't.
Corbin was broke for a while, and then he won the lottery, so now he's happy again. So now he's like obnoxiously happy. And they brought Riddick Moss up to be his like sidekick / muscle / guy that tells really bad jokes. Now, do you want to know the kind of jokes that Madcap Moss is telling?
I think you're gonna tell me, but okay.
I am. Hey, Guapo, I've got a whole bunch of jokes in my repertoire. Some of them are short, some of them are long. Do you want to hear some of them?
Sure.
Joke.
Oh God.
Well, okay, but they did. It sometimes it's better because they feuded with the New Day and called them the Poo Day.
Yeah, and you're telling me AEW sucks?
No, I'm not. This is trash. Sheamus is in there. He's still good. Street Profits are in there. They're still great. Montez Ford, everybody's predicting, is going to go on a singles run sometime soon. Ray and Dominic are in there. Everybody's predicting, especially if you listen to What Culture, that Dominic's going to drop Ray on his head, and it's going to be hilarious. Michael Hemflet and Adam Wilborn are going to like pop their little tits off. It's going to be good. And the dark horse of the entire match, the new chosen one, Austin Theory. You remember Austin Theory from when NXT was good, right?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, so now he's not under the learning tree of Johnny Gargano anymore. He's under the learning tree of Vince McMahon.
So that means he's going to be buried.
No. There was an egg. Have you heard about the egg?
No, and I feel like I don't want to.
Okay, so Austin Theory's kind of doing the selfie gimmick.
So he took Tyler Breeze's gimmick away from him.
He took Tyler Breeze's gimmick without adding like the pretty boy element to it. He basically like beats the shit out of people and takes a selfie with the person while they're down, right? But
okay, so serial killer vibes, got it.
So Day One was sponsored by Red Notice, the movie with The Rock and Ryan Reynolds in it.
Yes.
Have you seen it?
I have.
Say, it's a good movie.
Yes.
So you know the golden egg?
Yes.
Yeah. Vince came to Day One with an egg. During the course of Day One, the egg went missing.
So we got some Vince Russo shit.
No, the egg went missing, and then there was an investigation the next night on Raw, and an investigation the following week on Raw, and Vince put out a reward or whatever the fuck it was. Austin Theory brought back the egg, and it's like whoever stole the egg is gonna get punished, right? And he says, well, it was me. I was taking a selfie with the egg, but I didn't want to get caught, so I took it. And everybody's like, oh, Vince is going to punish Austin Theory. And he like flips his mind and he's like, well, you told me it took a lot of guts to come in here and tell me. So you're going to come learn under me now. So now you've got these things. And Vince is old as fuck. And you can't really understand what he's saying anymore, which makes it even better. So he's like basically gaslighting Austin Theory. He can't do anything right. And and it's fantastic because Austin Theory is brilliantly stupid, the same as he was in NXT, but it's that energy versus really, really tired, I don't like anything Vince McMahon.
Okay, I can see how that works.
So he's gonna win the Royal Rumble and he's gonna beat Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. No, he's not at all.
No.
Johnny Knoxville is a thing, unfortunately. People out there like Jackass. It's not my thing. The people that are having fun with it, He shocked Sami Zayn in the dick with a stun gun on SmackDown. Yay!
What the fuck?
Rumors now. That's the announced people. Let's go to rumors now. Potential NXT surprises, and by surprises I mean people that absolutely don't fit into the new NXT. Roderick Strong, LA Knight, Tommaso Ciampa, Pete Dunne, and Gunther.
Gunther.
Do we want to spend time on Gunther?
No, hard pass. I will say 9.
Oh, then you bring back Ty Dillinger and he can go 10.
I'd rather take the chair shot to the head.
Just swing it.
Just swing it.
Okay,
God,
so
I love that shirt so much.
Outside the box rumors that are circulating around between What Culture and No DQ, because I cheated everything. It sort of went under the radar unless you were actually paying attention to the news, but Corey Graves has kind of quietly been cleared for in-ring return. So I don't want him to do the stupid I'm a commentator but I pop into the ring for 5 seconds. Like, I would love it if they have other people on commentary and he's like actually a legitimate competitor if he's going to come back. Shane McMahon is in the rumor mill again, which is fine. Shane McMahon will do Shane McMahon things. And Bad Bunny might be coming back. They're
hard pass. No.
Hard pass?
Hard pass. No.
Why? He was actually good.
Don't want Bad Bunny. No.
Okay. I'm not a fan. I'm never going to listen to his music. But, like, as far as celebrity interactions go, he did more than most.
Yeah, you're right.
And if we want to dip back into the rumor mill for a second, rumored special attraction match for WrestleMania is Bad Bunny versus Shane McMahon.
All right, you lost me. Nope.
And number 30 on your programs, number 30 in all of our hearts, Veer is coming.
If he doesn't, I feel like the fans will revolt.
Yeah. The Veer thing is taking on a life of its own. You know what it is? Because I'm so much more interested in the Women's Rumble, I want somebody stupid to win this. Like, I want a really stupid Rumble winner. Like, I want the Rumble winner to be Gunther. I want the Rumble winner to be fucking... Well, actually, no, because if he comes back, I want it to be legitimate. But I was saying, like, commentator Corey Graves wins the Royal Rumble.
Right.
Or Omos. then you get Omos versus Seth Rollins for some reason.
I'm picking AJ to win it this year.
Dominic versus Brock Lesnar.
Hard pass now. Nope.
Oh, I don't have a prediction because I don't care.
There's that.
I would love it if one of the people that are coming up because they don't fit the old NXT mold. I would love like Ciampa or Pete Dunne to win. Just be a total shocker. I guess there's a mild chance because they want to get over this new version of NXT. They might throw Braun Breaker in the Rumble. I wouldn't mind that because I actually do kind of like Braun Breaker in what he is.
Right.
You know, acknowledging fully that it's not old NXT.
Not even close.
No. So much so that the old NXT wrestlers don't feel like they belong on the show anymore. I don't have a...
Or they left already. You know. Yeah.
When all your factions get old, just import the Undisputed Era from NXT. Okay. So, we've got the Women's Rumble now.
Yes.
Which I've broken into 4 categories. The confirmed people that are in the match, the confirmed legends that are in the match, the rumors, and then we all know what we're going to end this conversation with. Before we get into this, I will say, even though I'm not a fan of hers, even though she drives me nuts and I don't really see any value to her being on my TV screen, it does suck that Sasha Banks is injured. She's going to miss the Rumble. She'll be back for Mania, obviously. And tentative rumors are for Mania that she might be doing something with Trish Stratus.
I'm okay with that.
That's not the worst thing in the world. I won't go as far, and I won't be as mean as to say that, like, you know, don't put her on WrestleMania, right? Because I'm not that much of a dickhead. I just think, like, by far out of the roster you've got right now, she doesn't need to be in the title picture again. Especially after literally headlining last year. So now let's go. And we can stop again if you want to stop and talk about somebody. There's a lot of gold in this Rumble.
Yes.
You've got 24/7 champion Dana Brooke.
Oh, God.
Who's probably going to be chased by the three people that have been chasing her forever, which are Tamina, R-Truth, and Akira Tozawa. Because that's the 24/7 division now. Current WWE Women's Tag Team Champion Carmella. Current WWE Women's Tag Team Champion and Queen of the Ring Zelina Vega. Won the Queen of the Ring out in Saudi Arabia. Good for her. Natalya, farts and all. Tamina. Bianca Belair, please God no, because they literally handed it to her last year. Naomi, please God no, because she's already in the process of burying Sonya Deville, which makes me sad. Shayna Baszler, we can dream. Aaliyah has been called up from NXT, and she puked during her debut match, and now they're not going to let her forget that. It's really unfortunate. My girl Shotzi turned heel, lost her last name, and we didn't see her for a bit. Okay, are you aware of the Nikki Ash thing?
Something superhero?
Okay, so Nikki Cross had to change her last name because when they still had Karrion Kross on the roster, they thought two people with the same fictional last name would be confusing.
No, because you made one of them a gimp.
And also, we're not
and then
idiots.
Fired him.
And also, we're not... Okay, but here's the thing, though. They changed her name because you couldn't have two crosses on Raw, but yet they were going to name Gunther Stark, and you've already got Zoe Stark on NXT. We're not going there, but I'm just saying. The little bit of hope I have for this, because I like Nikki Cross, is she's just had this breakup of her tag team of her and Rhea Ripley, and she was the one that turned. So I'm hoping,
really?
now that Karrion Kross isn't in the company anymore, they'll use this as the catalyst to turn her back into Nikki Cross, the Sanity Twisted Sister version of Nikki Cross.
Crazy Nikki Cross?
Yeah. Because even if, and I hate to say this, even if they put it on the kickoff, Nikki Cross versus Rhea Ripley is something I wouldn't mind seeing at WrestleMania.
I agree.
And rounding out the list, you got Liv Morgan, who they've halfway given a little bit of attention to. She's had a lot of time in the ring with Becky Lynch. She's got a gigantic sort of like swell of a following happening, and they have to acknowledge that at some point. But she's the only one out of the Riot Squad that hasn't been fired, so there's that. She's getting better in the ring. She's not great on the mic. I'm a fan of hers, and I'll say she's not great on the mic, but it is what it is.
She'll get there.
Yeah. Or, you know what, either she'll get there, or just have her cut shorter promos.
Yes.
Like, sometimes the answer, if somebody's not good at something, isn't to try and push them into being good at something. Sometimes you get around it. It's the... I hate to say this because it's cliche at this point, but the Paul Heyman, accentuate the positives, eliminate the negatives. If you can't talk, just don't talk. I was kicking around the idea. I don't think I was talking to you about it. It might have been somebody else on Twitter or whatever. Beth Phoenix is underrated on the mic, and because she's been doing commentary for so long now. I think she's a good talker, right?
Right.
When she can't wrestle anymore, like I know she's already sort of semi-retired, but she does come back and do stuff. When she's actually decidedly not wrestling anymore, I want her to manage a powerhouse tag team of Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair.
Oh, that would be great.
Because, okay, powerhouses in the women's division. Charlotte Flair, Rhea Ripley, Beth Phoenix.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of Charlotte Flair.
What about Shayna Baszler?
I said Shayna Baszler.
Did you?
I did.
Charlotte. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay, so speaking of Charlotte Flair, Charlotte Flair is kind of doing the Brock Lesnar. She's entering herself in the Rumble as SmackDown champion, and her whole thing is, I'm going to win the whole damn thing and choose my own opponent for WrestleMania, which is fine. And one day they're going to say that and actually do it, and I think that's going to make a really interesting story. I don't think that's going to happen here. No. But what it does do is it does create a separate sort of branch story, because whoever throws her out of the Rumble should be the one to chase her maybe towards WrestleMania, right? So you do create a separate story within the Rumble narrative. Now, I want a moment, as cheesy as it sounds, and yes, I'm willing to say in advance that this is really cheesy, I want a moment where the only 4 women in that ring, or 5, because we'll talk about the 5th one in a second, but right now I'll say the 4 women in the ring are the 4 women in the WWE other than Becky Lynch that have titles. So I want a minute in the ring where Charlotte, Zelina Vega, Carmella, and Dana Brooke are the only ones in the ring, and for some reason they're all holding their titles, just because it's cheesy enough to be WWE. But yeah, I think her going in as the champion and saying, oh, I'm going to write my own ticket to Mania, and getting eliminated super quick would be sort of poetic. But also, she is one of the best wrestlers they have, and she's probably one of the ones that'll hold the match together. So, by that logic, I also want her to stay in a long time.
Right.
Now, confirmed legends for the Rumble. Bella Twins, which I love because that twists everybody up because nobody wants to admit that they're actually good. Kelly. Michelle McCool, who does weirdly well in Royal Rumbles.
Well, because she trains with Taker.
Well, yeah, it helps when you're dead. And he gives her the high hard one. Anyways,
at least dead inside.
Okay, I do have to branch off for a second. Summer Rae was in the audience on SmackDown last week, and they just did a mini, when they just kind of acknowledge that somebody's in the crowd. And it's we'd like to welcome in the crowd tonight, and she'll be at the Royal Rumble on Saturday, WWE legend Summer Rae, and all the little, insignificant people on Twitter oh my god, they're calling her a legend? It's the way WWE uses the word legend. It's any semi-retired, retired ex-WWE person that did something in the company, whatever. It's not worth freaking out about.
Correct.
It's oh, why are the Bella Twins in the Hall of Fame? Well, because they've done more than you want to admit.
And continue to do more than...
Well, yeah I mean, what are they, they have 2 TV shows, and they have a wine company, and they have a clothing company, and they brought non-wrestling fans into the wrestling conversation.
And one of them's married to a outstanding AEW wrestler.
And the other one's married to Bryan Danielson? Is that what's going on? Anyways, didn't one of them marry the dude from Dancing with the Stars?
Probably.
There we go. So the last confirmed legend is Lita. And this is where I say put a caveat on the Charlotte situation. Because Lita came out on SmackDown because she's been in WWE more recently, but it had been 20 years since she had been on SmackDown specifically. And she did have a back and forth with Charlotte, and she did end up giving her a twist of fate at the end, and rah. Now, I would rather see somebody new on the roster that's never had a title shot get a title shot, because that's the, in the wrestling world, that's the more moral thing to do. But if you're going to give me a one-off exhibition SmackDown Women's Champion Charlotte Flair versus fucking Lita at WrestleMania, I'm not going to say no to that. Especially when whatever night that's happening, Sasha Banks and Trish Stratus might be happening on the other night.
Word.
Anyways, lots of potential women's wrestling things happening. But yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I'm a mark. I like Lita, so I'm just happy to see her back. The rest of them, it's okay, cool, nice to see them again. As I say, the Bella Twins twist everybody the wrong way, which just makes me incredibly happy. Now, the rumor mill. Guapo, the rumor mill is deep.
Quite deep.
Okay. So, want to talk about Sonya Deville first.
Yeah.
Sonya Deville had to leave WWE for a while for really shitty reasons.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're aware of.
Creeper dude?
The break-in stalker, whatever
Yeah.
guy. Horrible. I don't care whether you like her or whether you don't like her. That's fucking bullshit. She left. She came back, and we're like, oh, cool, sweet. Like, because you've had Ronda Rousey, you still have Shayna Baszler. The one person that never really got acknowledged for, like, outside of WWE, like, serious, legit MMA martial arts type thing is Sonya Deville. Like, she's been away for a while. We've had a chance to miss her, bring her back in a big way, and they put her in this authority role on SmackDown.
I mean, keeping the lights on, so
Yeah.
keeps her busy.
It's one of two things, right? If this is what they decided to do to her or do with her when she came back, then fuck them. If she decided this is what she wanted to do because she didn't want to be out there in the ring amongst the public just yet, or there was like a safety concern, this is how I'm going to bring myself back slowly, entirely different story. I'm entirely on board with that. Do what you're comfortable with, right? But we don't know which is which. She's got a match. As I say, this is going out Friday morning. She's got a match tonight with Naomi on SmackDown. Because they've done this stupid story with Naomi on SmackDown. Because she got traded to SmackDown. And nobody told Sonya Deville. Sonya Deville's trying to run SmackDown, whatever. And she walks in and she, give me a match, give me a match, give me a match, give me a title shot, give me a title shot. And she's like, basically, Sonya Deville's sitting there saying, like, nobody even told me that you were getting put on my show. And so she's just been, like, the bitchy employee that would get fired in any real-life situation. But instead, we've had Naomi kicking the shit out of Sonya Deville, who's never gotten her due on the main roster, kicking the shit out of Natalya, who's one of the most respected people backstage, kicking the shit out of Shayna Baszler, another one that's never had her due on the main roster, all for the sake of, like, Naomi Push 5000, who, let's not forget, has won a women's world title at WrestleMania already.
Correct.
Versus all of these people that have not had a sniff at that shit. So, if this, as I say, this is going out Friday morning, so if what's happening tonight is any indication, I hope Sonya Deville gets, quote-unquote fired as the assistant GM and gets put back in a confrontational role. Put her back in the Rumble.
Right.
Just put her back in the Rumble. Get her away from Naomi. Naomi's fucking cancer. Yes, I know she's fucking an Uso. That is not a reason to give her 27,000 handouts. It's fine.
God.
She'll be fine. It's fine. Fucking walking glow stick rip-off Jeff Hardy entrance looking bitch. Anyways.
Tell me how he really feels bad.
I will tell you how I really feel. I really feel that Alexa Bliss is back, and Alexa Bliss is awesome.
Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord and pass the condoms. No, what they're doing with her right now, because she was the Fiend's, like, sidekick person, whatever.
Right.
And then the Fiend left, and she sort of went on her own way with, like, the Twisted Bliss thing. And then she had a match with Charlotte, and Charlotte ripped up Lily.
Yes.
Which made Alexa Bliss disappear for a while. Because doll stuff. So, rumors were that she was coming back. Rumors were that she was coming back as the goddess again. And she didn't. She came back in therapy segments where she's breaking everything in the therapist's office. And she's still the old Twisted Bliss character, which is fine. Put her in the Rumble. Let people just be mad that she's there. Because people are weird.
They are.
And it's fine. Alexa Bliss, another one that gets perpetually, like, underrated for anything she can do in the ring because people don't like her. I think it's along the lines of that, she's white and blonde, so we can't give her any credibility. It's one of those types of things, but we can move past that. I mean, my girl Mandy Rose had to dye her hair brunette before they'd let her have any success. So, like, the blonde
You're
thing.
not wrong.
Also, Mandy Rose, hot as fuck, Jesus Christ. Anyways. I'm holding up my table, and my table doesn't have any legs. Okay, let's get into some serious kick-ass returns. Rumors are that Asuka might be cleared to return, although that clear might not be till the middle of February, so it's a maybe, maybe not. Asuka, the contributions she can make to the Rumble and the women's division in general speak for themselves, really. Asuka was in our darkest hours of the empty arena era and the Thunderdome era, Asuka was one of the people making the show interesting and
kept it going.
Well, kept it going, but made the show feel full, even though it wasn't full. If you get what I mean.
Yes.
There's no noise from the crowd, so you had specific wrestlers that made the show noisy again. And we're going to talk about another one in a second. We're going to get there, but I think she's going to have a match with Michael Cole, and it's going to be awkward. Another one that might be coming back, even though she technically retired and went back to Japan to get married and then got a job as like a WWE ambassador, is Kairi Sane, which wouldn't hurt my feelings. Kairi Sane's awesome. It's really, really unfortunate that Nia Jax broke her face.
Yes, that is quite unfortunate.
It's really, really unfortunate that Nia Jax exists.
It's a bit much, but I understand what you mean.
She's just we're not doing the Nia Jax rant tonight. It's fine.
No, we're not. She's no longer part of the company.
Okay, so if I was to put three medical returns in a row, and I said Daniel Bryan, Edge, who's the next one you think I would say?
Daniel Bryan, Edge. I got nothing.
The one that got her career ended by Sasha Banks.
Paige?
Yeah, there are lots of hints out there that Paige may be in ring shape again. Now, a lot of these have been put out by her, so, the workers got to work. But if it's even a whiff in the air, I'm going to say it, because goddamn, her career got cut short.
Right.
One call-up, we were talking about from the guys, sort of people that don't really belong in that NXT anymore. There's one name that sort of sticks out in the women's division, and that's Io Shirai. Again, it's one of those sort of her contributions sort of speak for themselves. Any combination of Io Shirai, Asuka, Kairi Sane, Sonya Deville, Paige is money. Is
I
money,
agree.
And somebody's probably going to break their face. Now, I said it about Asuka, and there's only one person I can say that was the savior of the women's division during the crowdless era more than Asuka, and that's Bayley.
Yes.
And Bayley got injured right before crowds came back. And that's balls.
Yes.
I will say, now I've been leaning pretty heavy through the people that we know, through the legends that we know, through the rumors of people that are coming back. I'm leaning pretty heavily into give the Rumble to somebody that hasn't won the Rumble before, but give the Rumble to somebody that's maybe never even had a title shot at Mania before. I will make a gigantic sympathetic exception if Bayley comes back. Because if Bayley comes back and fights Charlotte and the Lita thing maybe turns into something else for somebody else, I'm all for Bayley coming back and smacking the taste out of Charlotte's mouth. Because that would also be a lot of fun.
I'm perfectly okay with that as well.
And the last rumor, and it is a rumor, but it's heavily rumored because No DQ and What Culture have both mentioned it, so there must be something in the water. We may be getting another quick run of Ronda Rousey.
All for it.
Now, here's the thing. I don't want Ronda Rousey to win if she comes back.
If she does come back, she will.
Probably.
Only because it's going to set it up perfectly for a Ronda versus Becky round 2.
Oh yeah, no, the match that we should have had 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And I mean, I will say, I think that match was great, other than the ending that was a bit botched, right? I am also a fan of Charlotte, right? I've defended Charlotte in our videos on multiple occasions. I do not think they needed to add Charlotte to that match.
Agreed.
But the thing about it is we've seen Ronda Rousey come in, we've seen her impress right off the bat, we've seen her be a champion, we've seen her be a champion in the main event. I want to see Ronda Rousey come back and do some brawls. I want Rousey versus Asuka. I want Rousey versus Sonya Deville. I want Rousey versus fucking Shayna Baszler.
Rousey versus Rhea Ripley.
Fuck yeah. If she's hanging around, Ronda Rousey versus Beth Phoenix.
Shotzi. Ronda versus Shotzi.
See, here's the thing, though. If Bayley takes the match with Charlotte at WrestleMania, Shotzi's the one that I would love to have the one-off match with Lita.
Ooh, that would be good.
I mean, give her last name for a night. That would be nice.
Battle of the Scene Chicks.
This is true. Oh, and then I could join them and we could make an entirely different kind of scene. Anyways.
Oh, God.
So, okay. Now, between the definite competitors, the definite legends, the rumors, we've got Dana Brooke, Carmella, Zelina Vega, Natalya, Tamina, Bianca Belair, Naomi, Shayna Baszler, Aaliyah, Shotzi Blackheart, Nikki Ash, Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan, Charlotte Flair, the Bella Twins, Kelly, Michelle McCool, Summer Rae, Lita, Alexa Bliss, Sonya Deville, Asuka, Kairi Sane, Paige, Io Shirai, Bayley, Ronda Rousey. That's enough, right? That's enough that's enough for one of the best Rumbles we've seen in a while. You know what we need to invite, though? Why don't we invite a whole other company into the mix?
That sounds like not a clusterfuck.
Not a clusterfuck at all. SmackDown, a couple weeks ago, sort of set the world on fire, and I'm saying set the world on fire with a bit of hyperbole, but considering how closed ranks WWE is about working with other people, it is kind of a big deal. The announcement that Mickie James was not only coming back for the Rumble, but the fact that she was introduced or announced as Impact Wrestling Knockouts champion Mickie James.
Yes.
Like, the way they presented the news was more impressive than the news itself. Because if they had just said, hey, Mickie James is coming back for a night, then it's like, okay, she's taking a night off of Impact, and she's going to come back and be Mickie James, like Psycho Stalker of Trish Stratus, et cetera, right?
Correct.
I have to split this into two halves. Because currently, in 2021, 2022, I can't stand Mickie James. I really can't. I think she's obnoxious. I think she's got this whole, like, I'm the savior of women's wrestling complex going on. No, false. That's a big false. She did the all-women's show for NWA and acted like it was the first ever all-women's show. And I'm like, no, it's not, though. It's not, though. I think she's obnoxious. And I think she took that belt off of one of the best women's champions Impact Wrestling has had in a long time, in Deonna Purrazzo. Now, that being said, my bias aside, what this means, or what this potentially means WWE might be open to in the future, is more important than what I think of Mickie James.
Yes.
100%, right? Because
Correct. I agree.
You've got another person, not only another person from another company, because that's kind of happened in the past. Like when ECW was still a thing, they worked with ECW, and they do have independent companies that they work with featured on their network, including Progress Wrestling, where you can now see Simon Miller as the co-host, which is kind of cool. So the idea that WWE never works with anybody is a bit of an overreaction. But the idea that WWE are working with another televised, mainstream North American company is a big deal. The fact that they're acknowledging the company as the person comes in is a big deal. The fact that they're acknowledging that championship, apparently, because the question has been asked, and I said the same thing, it'll be interesting to see how they present her. Like, do they bring her back with the old Mickie James music? Do they bring her back as like, hey, remember when she was Trish's stalker and we gave her all her belongings in a garbage bag? Or do they have her come out to hardcore country? My big thing was, do they let her wear the Impact Knockouts belt to the ring?
With them announcing her as the Knockouts champion?
Yeah.
Yes.
Because that was, apparently, I've only read this secondhand, so please take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. Yeah. I have read that she has said in interviews that she has control over how she's presented, and she will be coming out as their Knockouts champion.
That's great.
So the only problem I have with this, they announced this on the Friday, and there was an Impact pay-per-view that weekend, and she had a match with Deonna Purrazzo. I said that it would be a really cool thing for them to say in Impact, hey, the title's not only on the line, but also the chance to represent Impact at the Royal Rumble is also on the line. And then give it to Deonna Purrazzo. Because, not just because I don't like Mickie James, but because Mickie James is an ex-WWE person, most mainstream casuals are going to be like, oh yeah, that's Mickie James. Okay, cool. She's back for a night, right? Okay, I guess she's got another belt. I guess she's doing something somewhere else, right?
Right.
It would be a little bit cooler, and as I say, not to downplay what this means, but it would be a little bit more, hey, here's some Impact representation, if they sent somebody in that was a little bit more Impact. If they sent somebody like a Deonna Purrazzo is my prime example, right? Not as a dig at Mickie James per se, but it's like, oh, who's this person that I've never heard of before? I'll check them out, and in the process of checking them out, then I'll check out that, company or whatever.
Right.
So, like, just to take this from like a 9.9 cool thing to a 10 cool thing, I wish Deonna Purrazzo was still the champion. Now, if Deonna Purrazzo was the champion, would this door be open to them? Maybe not. But this is me being selfish.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, that being said, the counter to this is the additional news that the Knockouts Tag Team Champions were also offered spots in the Rumble.
You mean the Iconics?
No. I mean the Inspiration.
Yeah, the Inspiration.
Apparently they were also offered shots, and they said no, because their release is super recent. It's, heavy in the mind and all that kind of thing, right? Which is fine. That's whatever, right? But my thing is, what I think that I'm saying about Mickie James, I'm going to apply the same logic, because Purrazzo is the most recent champion before Mickie James. I'm going to apply the same logic to the Iconics, because they're the tag team champions. The most recent former tag team champions are the girls from Decay. And the girls from Decay showing up in the Rumble would be fucking amazing.
Yes, it would.
Rosemary, can you imagine Havoc and Rosemary showing up in the WWE period, let alone at the Rumble? And they're escorted to the ring. They're escorted to the ring by Crazy Steve and Giant El Torito.
God.
Oh, man. Oh. Black Taurus in the men's Rumble.
Lord, no. I would love Black Taurus. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be good. No, you can't even say no. That would be fucking amazing.
No, that would be amazing.
Now, so you've got the women's champion who's coming to represent Impact at the Rumble. It's awesome, even though I don't like Mickie James. You've got the Impact Tag Team Champions who were reached out to, but they said no, and nobody else was searched into after that. There's one more champion in Impact that, as far as I know, was not approached, who I would absolutely love to see in the Royal Rumble. And that is the Impact Digital Media Champion, Jordynne Grace.
Oh, I would love to see Jordynne Gracie.
Now, you want to talk about,
Grace,
powerhouse matches? Give me Jordynne Grace versus Rhea Ripley.
I mean, there's also another set of tag champions in Impact that would be great for the Rumble.
Who dat?
That would be the the Good Brothers.
Oh, but do you really think people want the club back in WWE? But see, okay, there you go. That's how you do it though. You have both halves of Decay. You have Havoc and Rosemary in the women's Rumble. You have Crazy Steve and Black Taurus in the men's Rumble. Wait a minute, hold on. Who's in the men's Rumble? Hold on a second. Black Taurus squares off in the ring with Omos.
God.
That's your final two. Or Black Taurus and Otis be like, hey, we're stuck here. Oh, man. There are so many stories to come out of this Rumble that don't even include who's going to win it. I really want to see somebody new win it. Like, I want to see a Rhea Ripley or a Nikki Cross or a Liv Morgan or a Shotzi win it. But then my biases kick in, and I'm like, give me that Lita match. And then, the sympathetic part of me, like the amount of people that are coming back from injuries, anyone, I mean, okay, Ronda Rousey wasn't injured. She was freaking pregnant and her last contract ended. But anybody else, Paige, Kairi Sane, Asuka, Alexa Bliss, Bayley. Tell me any one of those wouldn't be like an emotionally satisfying, feel-good moment, even if they come back as heels.
Oh, absolutely. I completely agree with you.
Or, and I hate to say this, because once again, my opinion of Mickie James is what it is. But can you imagine champion versus champion, Mickie James versus Becky Lynch at WrestleMania?
I'm okay with it.
Just replace NXT with Impact.
Pretty much.
And Mickie James, Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch walks out as the Raw and Impact champions. Oh, man. I got to pick a name here, don't I?
Yeah.
I got to pick a name here, don't I?
You do.
I'm going to go for one that I know isn't going to win, but she's still my girl. I'm going to go with Shotzi.
I'm going to go with Ronda Rousey.
Bam.
There you go.
Well, that's it. That's all we got. We should sort of tell people what we've got coming up in the future, maybe, perhaps, if work doesn't kill you.
It will.
Oh, that's a sad laugh.
Because it is. It's a sad laugh inside.
So we just did this. We are going to, at some point, just do a general, like, hey, this is what we think of AEW right now. And then you're going to No Surrender. So you're going to
That's right.
You're going to join me on the preview for that.
I'll be going to No Surrender where I will see Moose versus W. Morrissey. Mickie James versus Tasha Steeley. And a No Surrender Honor No More versus Team Impact. That's right. We have Ring of Honor versus Impact Wrestling live from the bayous of New Orleans. I'm just happy to go to live wrestling.
You're not a promo guy. We're gonna, you know what? Actually, we're gonna have to set aside some time in that preview because I want to pick your brain more on the ROH invasion thing.
Yes.
But yeah, so at least we've got a couple things coming up that people can look forward to, and not be stuck listening to me talk to myself, because that's what's been happening the past couple of weeks. As far as me, I'm going to try and keep up with the Dynamite reviews as much as I can. I'm not reviewing NXT anymore, as you guys know, and anything else that comes up in the middle will come up as it comes.
Right.
That was a terrible way to end the thing, but Guapo, tell them where to find you.
You can find me here at the Spaz Phoenix channel. If you wouldn't be here, you wouldn't know where to find me, or you wouldn't know who I am. You can also find me on Twitter at Guapo_504. I don't tweet, but hey, follow me.
I don't do anything. Come watch. That's what you just said to the people.
I'm just here for moral support. I'm getting my second wind now at the end of the show for some reason. I don't know why, but it's fine.
That's okay. I'm here to back you up with immoral support, and you guys know where to find me or you wouldn't be here. I've been Spaz. He's been Guapo. We are your typical AEW reality check, and eventually we will talk about AEW. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation, keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I will talk to each and every last one of you later, but for right now, me and this crazy fucker over here are tagging out. Bye, guys.
Adios, Mr.